Hey everyone, SweetJohnnyCage here, back with another guide for Final Fantasy VII Remake. This time I'm going to show you how to take down the Arsenal on hard mode. The Arsenal is a long and arduous boss fight that will take a really long time due to the various shields that surround it. However, once you figure out how to activate Red 13's AI in a somewhat manual fashion, it goes a lot faster. So you cannot use Red 13 manually, but you can cause him to do certain things by taking certain actions yourself. So the boss has an ability called Primary Fire, and what you need to do is when he's charging up Primary Fire, you need to switch over to Barret and cast Focus Shot on the main cannon. And then what that will do is it will stagger the boss slightly, and then Red 13 will position himself below a barrier drone and then attack it. So that's what we're going to do here. So we're back over to Barret. He has full ATB charged up, and then the boss will start to cast Primary Fire right here. Once the boss does that, use Focus Shot on the main cannon. Doing that will cause the boss to get stunned a little bit. It may use Primary Fire a second time, but if you are quick enough, or if you deal enough damage, it will sort of blow up the cannon a bit, and then the boss just sits there. And you can see on your screen here, Red 13 is positioning himself, then he will use Sidewinder on the drone that he is below, and then you get to switch over to either Barret or Aerith, and take out the drone. And you want to just keep doing this over and over and over, and then you will take down the barrier drones very quickly. I feel like a genius for having figured this out. You may have already known it, plenty of other people may have already known it, but I found this out on my stream, and I couldn't have been happier. So as you can see there, we are preventing the boss from actually casting Primary Fire. We're going to do it again, Focus Shot on the main cannon. Watch Red 13 now. He's going to position himself under the next barrier drone, and he's going to attack it with Sidewinder. And then it gets staggered. And then you just hit it a few times with Barret and Aerith, and the drone goes down. So we're going to do this one more time. So, additionally, you can also attempt to use Focus Shot on the homing laser. As you can see here, it is not available right now. You have to be very quick. This has a longer charge time than the Focus Shot, but it takes a while to get into position, especially if you're not expecting it. So I just recommend waiting for Primary Fire. So we're going to use Focus Shot on the cannon here. It's going to blow up. We're going to keep firing to build some more ATB. Do it one more time on the main cannon, and then Red 13 will get into position. As you can see here, he starts moving around. Then he gets under it, casts Sidewinder. It's staggered, good to go. So, entering Phase 2, we're basically going to do the same thing as we just did. We're going to try to wait for Primary Fire, stun the boss. But at this stage of the game, it's going to be a lot more mobile, and it has some added abilities. The first of which is going to be Charge, and this is a fairly obvious ability. The boss kind of just heats up all around and then zooms across the room. The one thing the AI is not good at doing during this fight is avoiding Charge. However, for every other ability that it does, you can just hide behind debris or a pillar. So when it is casting Homing Laser, you want to try to Charge Shot or Focus Shot the laser on the back, but if it's against the wall, it's hard to access. For Charge, you can just put something between you and the Arsenal, and that'll help a good deal. So it's going to cast Primary Fire here. We're going to blow it up. Or we're going to try to, but it got blocked by the pillar. So we'll try that again. We're going to do Focus Shot on the main cannon. And unfortunately, because that was like a 1 ATB, it didn't break it down. It's a little unclear if you need 3 ATBs worth of Focus Shot or just 2 will do, and it's a little random. But that's kind of the rinse and repeat method of taking down this boss. Occasionally it will cast Voltaic Charge, and this will put out an array of ground electricity balls. If you run into any of them or they touch you, you will get stunned, and then you're very susceptible to charge. You'll likely die. What I recommend doing is always be in control of the character that the boss is charging towards. I know this sounds a little weird, but the AI is not good at avoiding charge. Just keep that in mind. So we're using Ray of Judgment over there with Aerith. The boss is very susceptible to that attack, especially because it sits still for quite a while after it uses charge, and right before it uses charge. But as you can see there, AI-controlled characters are not good at avoiding the charge. So make sure you cast Raise or Arise to bring them back up if that ever happens or if they ever die. The boss does have certain defense protocols, such as lightning or ice or fire, as well as physical. And whenever a defense protocol is activated, attacks of that element will do reduced damage. But if it does the physical defense protocol, basic non-elemental attacks will do reduced damage. So the way, not necessarily around this, but to alleviate the hurt that this is going to put on you, and the amount of time you're going to have to spend on this, what I recommend doing is putting elemental and some sort of magic materia on both Barret and Aerith. At this stage, in hard mode, you should have at least 2 elemental materia, and then just put 1 on each of their weapons, and then some sort of magic attached to it. It doesn't necessarily matter which. It's a machine boss, so it's usually a bit weaker to lightning, but really any element will do. You just want to make sure you have something on there. Phase 2 of this fight is arguably the longest part because the boss moves around so much, but you want to try to get as much sustained damage on the boss as possible. So if you notice it's sitting still and focusing on one character versus the other, just say it's Barret, switch over to Aerith, cast Ray of Judgment, and if you can get a full Ray of Judgment off, you have a good chance of putting the boss in a pressure state so you can build the stagger meter. Right here, right after this, the boss is going to begin to cast Primary Fire after an Ice Defense Protocol. So you see the protocol switching there. This means that ice attacks will deal reduced damage. Alright, so the boss is going to start to cast Primary Fire right here, and then we're going to repeat what we did in Phase 1. We're going to use a focus shot on the cannon. This will blow it up, pressure the boss one more time, and then we're going to build some stagger. It's going to do it again, but we're also going to cast a Ray of Judgment at this point because Aerith's ATB is completely full, and this will build the pressure, stagger the boss, and then deal a bunch more damage. So when this is happening, you want to use your Overpower. You want to use basically anything you have with Barret, Maximum Fury. Cast a Tempest in there. Red 13 will start to get some attacks in once the boss is staggered. And then eventually, once you get to about 50%, the boss will move into Phase 3. And as you can see there, this boss gets crazy laser attacks coming from its chest in Phase 3. And like I said before, the AI is not good at avoiding charge, so it's just not fun. We're going to summon Shiva here. If you have Chocobo and Moogle, summon that. Really anything non-elemental will do. Unfortunately, Bahamut will not work in this fight, and I don't think Leviathan will either. It seems to be too small. I didn't try Leviathan, but I know for a fact Bahamut does not work, because Barret had Bahamut on him for me in this fight. So the homing laser, unfortunately, we weren't able to get behind him, but we are going to now be able to hit a focus shot on the main cannon, and then we're going to try to get it to stay focused on Aerith. In this phase, if you could just keep hitting the focus shots, you will be able to get a lot of damage onto the boss here. Alright, so primary shot was interrupted. We are going to build pressure with another focus shot, and then the boss is going to break down a bit. We are going to switch over to Aerith. We're going to get Ray of Judgment. This ability is just so powerful, especially in a staggered state, because it not only does damage, but it also builds the stagger meter about 30% or 20-30% per time you do it. So it's just very, very important to keep doing it. Alright, so our Shiva is about a quarter of the way until she's finished. We're gonna, I was trying to maybe cast Heavenly Strike on him because he was sitting still. No such luck. And unfortunately I didn't have enough ATB to do a focus shot on this homing laser. It's not a huge deal though. Alright, so we are going to just dump a Maximum Fury into the arsenal, and then just try to block all this with Aerith. In the Phase 3 version of the homing laser, it goes on for a lot longer, so I just recommend standing behind something and blocking. The lasers can arc around whatever she's standing behind, so it's very important that you still block. Alright, Diamond Dust is going to go off here. This is going to do a decent amount of damage to the boss, and luckily its Ice Protocol was not active. I'm just thinking that now. Alright, there you go. 9,800 damage, and it also staggers the boss. Red 13 casts Sidewinder, and then we are going to try to build up as much pressure meter as possible. Dump a Tempest in there, do our best, and it's going to reactivate Ice Defense Protocol. Alright, so we're going to have a Pulse Cannon, and when the boss does this, you need to stand behind something. This will break whatever you are standing behind, so if you're out of things to stand behind, you can try to maybe cast Lustrous Shield. I'm not 100% sure if it will block it. I kind of don't think it will. I tried casting one in the final phase, but it didn't really work. But as long as the boss doesn't hit you with that laser, it will go into a pressure state, so you can go ahead and stagger it one more time. But there is a bit of a scripted thing that happens at about 10-15% health, where the boss will stop taking damage. So that is what's happening here. So the boss goes into like critical mode, or whatever, similar to what it does in the original game, although Heligunner doesn't come out afterwards. But the flame walls will go up, and you need to deal as much damage to this boss as possible, as quickly as possible. If you are not able to kill it quickly, you're kind of screwed. So what I should have been doing here is I should have had Barret out and just dumping an Overpower or something into the boss, but it's going to do the laser, it's going to break whatever you're standing behind, and then it will sort of power down for a second and then start charging it again. So once that happens, you need to do your best. Dump an overcharge in there. I think I just kept saying overpower. It's kind of late as I'm recording this, but just dump as much as you can into this. It will cast Physical Defense Protocol probably at this stage, so you want to just get Fleeting Familiar out. Anything that's going to help you do more and more damage. You can start casting magic at this point. This is the end of the chapter, so if you have any more MP left, it has Ice Defense Protocol, cast Firaga. Just do whatever you can to put as much damage into the thing as possible. But we are going to do a Ray of Judgment here, and that will kill it, along with some more attacks from Barret. So there you go. See, it's depleting, and that's it. That's the boss. The whole trick to beating the Arsenal is using Red 13. You cannot manually control him, but by performing certain actions and staggering the boss, you can get his AI to help you instead of just standing still. Once I figured this out, this fight was way easier, and even if you're doing it on normal, it'll become a whole lot easier too. So just use Focus Shot on the main cannon as well as the homing lasers, the laser array if you're able to get behind the boss, and just stagger the boss, and that's the whole thing. Just keep staggering it by shooting the big weapons that come out every now and again, and Red 13 will carry you to victory. And that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. I'll do my best to help you out. You can also join my community Discord server. The link for that is in the video description below. If you're looking for more guides for Final Fantasy VII Remake, please subscribe to the channel so you get alerted when new guides go live. If you're interested in supporting this channel monetarily, please consider becoming a channel member by clicking the blue join button below this video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and on Twitch, and as always, I'm SweetJohnnyCage. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Now, it's right on.